G'day and welcome to another episode of the SuperCoach Paige Show. I'm Paige.
I'm Matt.
And I'm Dan.
And we're back for round 10. We've just about hit the midway point of the season.
Bye round's rapidly approaching.
I know.
Best to worst for the week prior. Grant Birchall absolutely ruined me, as he did many coaches. Dan Swan, Angus Monfries, Josh Kennedy, Tom Rockcliffe and Jackson Thurlow didn't have very good weeks for me.
We forgot, and especially on a premium sort of end when it comes to Rockcliffe, Swan, JPK and Birchall, as you mentioned. I don't think anyone sort of really escaped that sort of carnage. So it was a pretty poor week on their behalf. So I would say there'd be a lot of sub 2-2 scores this week.
Apart from me, I escaped JPK just because I did the shifty. Instead of being Franklin like I originally planned, I went for Watson. And I was chopping and changing between Watson and JPK. So, I went for Watson and he busted out at 166, so I was loving it.
Yeah. Well, look, I pulled a sneaky on the weekend. Now, some people would probably know this, but I'm going to throw it there anyway. After Blitzarms had that incredible score of 100, I thought to myself, this is way too good to knock back, regardless. So I decided to sub Dan Curry onto the field and replace Leuenberger. And my emergency was already set to Blitzarms. So that 100 has single-handedly saved me this week from becoming the worst super coach of the week, which I believe is your honour this week, Matt, for the very first time.
Finally hit the number one.
If you hadn't guessed, let's get rid of this thing.
I love Esther.
Just want to come on.
Anyway, I got 21-18, so not a bad score, I wouldn't think.
It's about, probably it was honestly par this week.
Yeah, like a good Supercoach player honestly wouldn't have Daniel Curry still in their team page.
It raised a few eyebrows, but hey, 100, I'll take that any day of the week.
I suppose you don't really expect Blitzarms to be scoring big scores every week. That's the only thing. It was a great score for him, and it means we can keep him in a bunch of more weeks as well.
His break even will be low, which means he'll start going from price, which means he'll be a pretty good downgrade. Target. He'll be a player that you can downgrade.
Yeah, and you've got a lot of options as well, especially with round 12 being the real iffy week for the bye rounds, especially in the rucks there.
And we're going to get into that a little bit later, but speaking of the rucks.
For ruck's sake.
For ruck's sake. Yeah. My goodness, Matthew Leuenberger, you're letting the team down. 100,000 coaches or touch over have been affected by Leuenberger's injury this week, which is a third of the competition. So that's pretty crazy. So a lot of people went into the year with Leuenberger in their side. So obviously we've all got him, and I'm sure a lot of people that are watching have got him as well. And you're all wondering what the hell we do with him. So we're going to speak about Matthew Leuenberger and
another man as well.
Your boy Jacobs.
Jacobs, I haven't got him, but I was tossing him up at the start of the season, and thank God I didn't get him.
Yeah,
dodged the bullet there. He's now dropped to 403,800. He's averaging 81, which would probably be modest in dream terms, but not in Supercoach. He's passed 3, he's posted 75, 101 and 36, so he's like a roller coaster ride, good old Jacobs, and I think there's a lot of coaches out there that are frustrated and they just want to get rid of him.
Yeah, as well as Leuenberger. Tell us why Leuenberger's missing as well.
Yes, well he's dislocated his thumb. Now that's something I did in junior footy, and I thought it wasn't. I didn't do my thumb, but I did one of my fingers, and I thought, you'll be right next week. But yeah,
I think the word was that Doc Larkin's injury report was that the Brisbane medicos actually struggled to put his thumb back in, and it was just that horribly dislocated. They had to take him to the hospital straight away, and apparently they almost considered surgery because they could not physically get it in.
Yeah, and it's the same injury that sidelined Matty Cruiser for a few weeks as well. So it certainly is big enough of an injury for a ruck, especially with all the tackling.
And he was out for about 6 weeks as well. Yeah. So that's probably a good example that he's going to be out. And they've predicted anywhere between 4 and 6 weeks.
Yeah. Now just tell us about a few of the replacements, especially the really high-end replacements that you've got there as an option.
Look, there's no secret that Nick Naitanui tops the list of rucks that everybody is going absolutely gaga for, myself included. Now, 148 points on the weekend against GWS. We sort of expected a big score like that from him. He's got a current average of 108, which is pretty good considering he's come back from groin injuries, I would think. But one thing I really like as well is that his last 3 games have thrown up an average of 130, which is super good. And it's no wonder that he's the most traded in player so far this week, and it's only Wednesday.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he's a fantastic option. He's got the round 12 bye, but West Coast do actually have a bit of a tough run home. Yeah. I'm going to throw out a couple of teams. Richmond, St Kilda before the bye. Hawthorn, Essendon, Adelaide, Fremantle and Sydney. But on the flip side, the Eagles have a great home ground advantage in the weekend, in the coming weeks. 6 of those games will be played at Patterson Stadium.
Yeah.
So that's a big relief. But another guy as well, Jared Ruffhead, he's been really talked about this week too. 95 against Gold Coast, it wasn't overly good, but he's got a break even of 104. He's going to have another blinder this weekend against Melbourne, you'd think, and an average of 97. So, and the great thing is, Hawthorn, if you're looking to bring in any players, Hawthorn for starters, they only travel once in the second half of the year, and that is that's to Sydney.
So not very far either. So there's no jet lag or anything like that.
No, but I mean, depending what you call travelling, they do play twice at Aurora Stadium down in Tassie. But
they're used to that, of course.
Exactly, that's a home ground advantage. So they don't travel. They stay in Victoria pretty much the entire second half of the year. So if you're talking about Hawks being flag contenders, that's probably a catalyst for them there. But Ruffhead and Nick Nui are 2 that I'll be looking at strongly as well.
And Ruffhead really avoids that round 12 bye as well, which is
He
great.
does. Well, he's got the round 11 bye, which is fantastic.
Yeah.
And as we said, we'll get into the round 12 bye soon. But
and if you're like me and
options.
you're really cheap, you want to look for those real bargain options. And Matty Cruz is one of them. We spoke with him having a really bad dislocated thumb injury before, but he's come back. He got a 92 against Brisbane, which was really good. Priced at 380,000 on the dot, averaging 78.5. So you wouldn't think that's that good, but if we exclude the game where he actually dislocated his thumb and was subbed off, as well as the first game back from injury where he was used in an unfamiliar role, he's averaging 98.5. So it's a very respectable score to average.
Not bad as well.
Very cheap to get him. Obviously, he's not going to score your knick-knack sorts of scores. But yeah, it's very good. And he has a round 13 bye, so it avoids that round 12 where...
That's something to look into, especially if you're going to be tactful.
And Zach Clark as well, 87 against Melbourne. You might think, Clark, there's so many other options, but there's not. There's not.
There's not really.
Griffin's out for the year, Kepler's out for the year, Sandlin's is out for another 4 weeks. 4 weeks.
And they're not going to bring in Craig Moll off the rookie list who's a beanpole, so he's pretty safe as
So he's going to be playing pretty much a sole hand in the ruck. And it's kind of like another man I'm looking at, which is Will Minson. He's rucking by himself all year for the Dogs, and he's priced at 559,700. He's averaging 114 with a break-even of 102. His past 3, he's got 112, 127 and 109, so he's up there in premium terms, I think.
It's funny because we all give a bit of stick to Big Will, but
the dumb smart man
he is, but you cannot fault him on a SuperCoach perspective this year. He's been fantastic.
He's doing very good. And he's got that round 11 bye as well, same with that.
And he's quite a unique pick. There's only about 5% of SuperCoach players that have him.
Yeah.
So you're talking about a unique and point difference.
And he's got his lowest score this year has been 94.
You're joking? Really?
Pretty impressive, yeah.
Definitely. And speaking of the buys, beating them will really decide whether your season's a
They are the
bust.
hardest 3 weeks of SuperCoach.
Definitely, and you need to try and spread out the buys as much as possible.
Yep.
When trading this week, you've got to remember that you've got those 3 buy rounds coming. You've got 6 teams that won't be playing each week, so you've really got to spread out, do I have an even spread? So you have 30 players in your team overall. You want to generally have about 10, 10, 10 each week.
Yeah.
And if it's really imbalanced, you're going to have a very rough week that week.
It'll be 10 or, give or take, so 9 or 8 or 10, 11, or 11, 12.
Yeah, as long as it's around that mark, it's not like 5 or 15, you should be pretty good. And you got to remember that it's the top 18 players that get you the points there. So you can have 12 zeros and it doesn't count as long as it's evenly spread across the positions.
Correct.
So when trading, got to remember that, and the ruck issue is really paramount. So if you're bringing in Nick Nui, you've got to remember that in the round 12, the rucks are just devastating. You've got Cox, Nat Nui, Goldstein, Dorr, Blitzards, Vardy, McAvoy, Mumford, and Pike all missing. So that's a lot of rucks.
Jeez. Yeah. Well, okay, so you can basically throw away your rucks for round 12 then. Mm-hmm. There's 2 donuts for you.
Yeah, definitely.
And another thing to look out for is clubs resting their big players. Mm-hmm. Likes of Swan, Mitchell, Franklin. There's so many to speak of. Yep. So be prepared that some clubs may rest their star players. So you have to take that into account, I think. And popular rookies, such as Kerridge, Dwyer, Kennedy. I reckon you have to hold on to them until they're round 13 bye. They're going to provide adequate cover, and you'll be looking to upgrade them anyway.
Yeah, O'Meara as well is another great.
Yeah, O'Meara's there too, and is Crouch in round 13?
I believe so.
I think he is.
Yeah, with Kerridge. Yeah, he's with Kerridge, yeah.
Yep. Another point as well is hold onto your trades through the buys. I mean, you're allowed 3 trades during each of the other 3 buys, but don't get sucked in. It's a massive trap, as we spoke of last week. I mean, you're always going to have injuries and players being rested towards the latter half of the season, coming into finals, so you can't afford to just whittle them away.
And I know people always want to go for the highest overall score that they can, but you've really got to look out for, if you're not in the top 1,000, you're not going to win. So go for the league win, have some bragging rights between your mates. So don't use all your trades so you're ruined towards the finals.
You'd be very smart.
Because there are injuries, and we've had, 16 or more ACL injuries this year?
Yeah, we're up to 16, so... but look, as we said, now with the trading, you are going to have donuts. It's just almost improbable that you're not, okay? So 18 is the score that you will have, so the best 18 scorers, which gives you that leeway to have 4 donuts on field. So in saying that, do not trade your way out of having, I guess, more than the 4 donuts. So if you've got 18, do your homework and check out the other teams that you're playing against, because if you've got 4 on field that are going to be automatic zeros, and you have 1 or 2 others that are going to be zeros, you are actually doing very well. So look at that as a precedence. I mean, there's no point. If you've got 6, 7 donuts on the field, including the 4 that you get as part of the round, save your trades. Blow and kiss that round goodbye.
Yeah, unless it's something that you were already going to do regardless of the buys. So if a player's been really underperforming and you want to get him out before the price drop, go ahead and do it. If it's a trade that you would do during the regular season, then by all means. Or if it's an upgrade that like a guy's about to have a price increase, like Rovit, for example, will in round 12. Nathan Rovit. So that's the sort of player that you want to be getting in, rather than just avoiding a buy by side trade.
That's it. I mean, round 13, we're going to go a bit more in depth in just a moment, but round 13 has now been considered the hardest amongst the SuperCoach community. I mean, considering the teams we've got out, and it's going to be, your midfield will be hit. So a lot of teams at the moment are now looking at basically throwing away round 13 and just looking to get the wins in round 11 and 12. But look, let's definitely have a look now, and we're going to go through at the moment, as our teams currently stand, we're going to have a look at how many buys we are anticipating, and that's without trading between now and the buys next week. So let's go, and obviously every week thereafter, so for round 12 and 13. But as our teams stand now, Matty, take us through.
Well, in round 11 I have 11 zeros, so I've got Rockcliffe, Hanley, Staker, Franklin, Birchall, Mitchell, Cochin, Martin, Floston, Zach Clark, I'm going to do it who I'm trading in this week. I'm trading out Leuenberger for Clark, as well as Sam Rowe for Staker, and Monfrey, so I'm going to be trading out next week. But I've got a big tip next week, so make sure you listen.
Okay, here we go. Now round 11 for me, I've got 9 as well, so the likes of, I guess, Rockcliffe, Franklin, Birchall, Koch, Martin, Bartel, Kennedy. Hang on.
That's round 12.
I'm looking at round 12 and 13. Sorry, look, the major ones anyway will be Rockcliffe and Staker. Obviously, Buddy, Birch for me. Koch, Martin, Floston.
It's really the defenders that get hit hard in round 11.
It is.
And you've got to watch out for those. The forwards tend to be spread around.
Well, that's it. And I'm anticipating that I'll have, well, actually, I don't think I have any quarter late players left, but if you do, this week or next will be the week to start flushing those out.
I think probably Hartlett's the only one that people are going to have left. Yeah. And for me, I've got, I'm looking at 12, which is the most of the 3 weeks for me, for 12 zeros. Looking at Rockcliffe, Franklin, Birchall, Mitchell, Cochin, Martin, Floston, and Hartlett, just to name a few.
So it's pretty bad. And round 12, like we said, is the ruck week, where you get rucked. So I've got Bartel, Blitzarves, Matt Jones, Gawn, Turlick, Goldstein, Dorr, McAvoy. No, not McAvoy, sorry. All Goldstein, Dorr. Rewalt, Kennedy, Cox, other Kennedy, and Pritis.
Yeah, look, mine's pretty similar. I've got 11 for round 12. So, funnily enough, despite round 13, my worst week, as it stands, will be round 12 with 11 out. I've got Bartel, Blitzarves. I've also got Kennedy from the Swans. And then I've also got Cox. I've got Kennedy. I am bringing in Nick Nat this week, so I'll have him too. And I also have Evans and Turlick in my side too, but I do anticipate that those Melbourne boys will be gone too.
Yeah, I'm very similar as well. I've got 10, facing 10 zeros and looking at Bartel, Blitzarves, Cox, Kennedy, Pritis, Evans and Turlick.
Yep, and round 13, like we said, it's the mid buy round. But I tend to be cheap, so the mids are the last people that I upgrade.
Cheap bastard.
Yeah, well, I've got the least amount of losses, so it works clearly. I've got Crouch, Gibbs, Swan, Pendlebury, McCaffer, Heppel, and O'Meara, so not many outs.
Well, look, I'm about not too bad, but hang on. Look, I'm just going to reel a few off. This is pretty bad actually. Dangerfield, Gibbs, Swan. By then I'll probably have Pendlebury as well, but I might give him off the bye. And then I've got Watson, Goddard, Ablett, O'Meara, Crouch.
So your mids are ruined. Like they're
I'm tanking in round 13. That's what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And now what you doing?
I'm facing 8. I've got Swan, Watson, Gazza, Goddard, Gibbs, Crouch, and O'Meara.
Yeah.
There's another one which I forget, but yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, a lot of people are tweeting us in for the tweet of the week, SCP Show tweet of the week.
Oh yeah.
Make sure you use the SCP Show hashtag and tweet us in your questions every week to win a Mint Tours voucher.
Yep, right here.
Mine was basically, we're getting a lot of questions about these buys and people are getting more and more distressed. Mine was actually not about the buys this week though. It was from Ali Sufan. Sorry if I've said that wrong. He's asking, do you think Sam Grimley from the Hawks is a better ruck option than Witts, or is there a big chance that he'll get dropped? I think it is a decent chance that he'll get dropped because he's not best 22.
Yeah.
David Hale took a week off last week, so he's probably going to come back in. But I'm actually considering bringing Grimley in myself. You've really got to think of what's going to make you money in the long run, and toward the finals, you're not upgrading, your rookie rucks that have increased in price. You're not downgrading them either for cash. You generally only do it once.
Yeah.
So I'm probably going to move Blitzarves or Gawn down to Grimley, just because if he does play in that buy round, then great. I avoid a zero.
Exactly.
But yeah, you've really got to avoid that. I would bring in Grimley if you can, but wait until the round 12 buy round hits and then do it.
Well, look, I've got one from Adam Jordan. There you go. Never trust a man with two first names. I have Louis and Jacobs as my rucks, Blitzarves and Curry in reserves. Do I hold Louis and trade Jacobs for Nick Nat? Well, for starters, I would definitely be trading off Louis first. Not only is he obviously more, he costs more, he has more, obviously, money to his name than Jacobs. He's also out for 4 to 6 weeks, so I would definitely take that and run. Jacobs, yeah, he's out of form, and he ended the game in the subfest last week.
At least you get something.
But you are still getting a score from him regardless, and I think, I still really think that if it's not broke, don't fix it just yet. He's not injured himself, he's not out. He's got some terrible form behind him, but good players turn it around.
Yeah.
I'm a big believer of that. Louis is the main option. Why keep a guy on your bench that's injured that's going to be out for up to 6 weeks?
Yeah, and maybe trade out, if you were going to trade out Jacobs, maybe do it in the round 13.
Yeah, I'd look at it then. Really hold on for obviously just for now. If you've got the cash, get Nick Nat. But I mean, if you're looking for a more, Zach Clark could probably be a bit of a left of centre one for me.
If you're a cheap bastard.
You're a cheap bastard. But in saying that, round 11, free have buy.
Yeah.
So keep that in mind too.
Mm-hmm.
And I've got a tweet from Brody Jenkins. He asked, Lundberger out for a month. If I were to upgrade him, do I look at a consistent Vincent or a dominant Nick Nat? I'm actually facing the exact same dilemma. Now for me, I think either way you go, it's a win-win. As I said before, Minson is a sole ruckman at the Dogs, so he's always going to bust out, at least, he's going to get like 35 hit-outs alone, so at least over that.
He's not competing with anyone first.
Exactly right, yep. He's priced at 559, 700, averaging 114 with a break-even of 102. And his lowest score, of course, is 94, as we said before. His past 3 is 112, 127 and 109. For Nick Nat, of course, it's a bit different. He's competing with Cox in the ruck, but of course he's going to be first choice, I think, nowadays. Cox pushes forward. And Nick Nat is priced at 595, averaging 108, with his break-even of 69. And his lowest score was 40, but of course that was sub-affected when he first played. His past 3 have been amazing: 148, 142, and 102. So yeah, it's hard to pick, hard to split them, but I'll probably go for the cheaper option in Minson.
I like it. What a difference as well.
Yeah, and it's unique as well. It's
yeah, that's it. And the Bulldogs as well, just to throw that stat out there, the Bulldogs midfielders at the moment, although it might not be showing on the winners list and they've only had 2 wins for the year, but they are actually inside the top 6 in the competition for clearances. So you've got to remember as well that Ruckman gain more points if they hit the ball out to advantage and their teammate grabs the ball and clears it. That's a hit out to advantage. Considering how often the Bulldogs are doing that, and that's something you should really obviously look into.
And he's winning the hit-outs as well for the season, so
there you go.
He's very dominant.
And he avoids the round 12 bye, so another very good one, so
yes.
11 bye. Moving into jump time, captain's choice this week. I'm going with Pendlebury because my captains always screw me over, and Pendlebury has not done that once this year, so go Pendlebury.
Yeah, I'm gonna loophole it.
Pull another sneaky
I'm going to be sneaky.
Trust your team, Paige.
I can't. I'm going to go Dane Swan with a VC this week. I really believe he's going to, if he's named, there's been rumours, there's nothing solid to them. There's rumours that he won't play, that he'll be rested. I'm not buying it.
Please no.
I just hope it's not going to happen. But Swan, that was his worst game for the club. On the weekend against Sydney. I think just about all his touches were clangers. So just a horrible display by him, and I think he's going to back that up against his depleted Brisbane. But if that falls apart, then probably look at Joe or Gaz down at the Cattery, and it's Gary Ablett's 50th game as a son, the first player to do so at Gold Coast, and it's back at home under the lights where he grew up playing at Cardinia Park. So.
Quite
I think that might be a bit of a... I don't know. You can't really go past Gaz. Anytime that you don't put the captaincy on him, he sort of shows you why he shouldn't have done it.
Yeah, Gaz is my man, love him. I'll probably opt for him or Joe. But for a bit of a smoky, Mitchell, just purely based on potential. He's facing Melbourne this week, and previous 2 weeks he's faced GWS and Gold Coast. GWS he posted a score of 123 and 109 for Gold Coast, which was a bit off. I was expecting.
Another one as well is Stevie J.
Yeah.
A lot of people have tweeted in or just tweeted to us in general about what we think of Stevie J as captain.
He absolutely wrecks the crap teams.
He does. He just I don't even know what to say. But he just kills them. Yeah. He absolutely tears them a new one. He's got no mercy for any of the bottom teams. And at Cardinia Park as well, he's going to have a field day. And I think if you're lucky enough to have him, I haven't got him on my side yet. I do plan on bringing him in. He will absolutely annihilate Gold Coast. But in saying that, I said JPK would do that to Collingwood last week, and he only got 50 something. So just take that with a grain of salt.
For the fact of the week, just got the one this week, but it really encompasses everyone. It's about Dane Swan, who you were mentioning before. In the past 2 years, when Luke Ball's played with him, Swan's only averaged 90.4, but when Luke Ball doesn't play, Swan averages at 123.5. So massive difference between the two. Yeah. So if you're looking at getting Swan after the bye rounds, because he has had a crap couple of weeks, he's going to plummet in price. But you really got to look into that and think, well, if Luke Ball's playing, then Swan's output's not going to be as good. But
well, the stats don't lie, and I'll tell you what, from a little birdie tells me as well, is that stat gets worse when Dane Beams is in the side, as well as Luke Ball. So that's probably a bit concerning, especially on a SuperCoach point of view. That's another good reason to get Pendlebury in.
Yes, very good. Now, if you have any of these concerns, be sure to tweet in using the SCP Show hashtag.
Concerns? What are we, a helpline?
Yeah, essentially, yeah.
Have
you seen my Twitter feed?
Okay, SuperCoach helpline. Cool, fantastic.
Cool.
It's a tagline.
So yeah, make sure you tweet those in,
Texting me my number away as well now.
People are private messaging me, which is always fun. We're just going to promote that, and so if you have any...
We are your friends.
Yes, exactly. So always approachable.
Tweet it in next week. I know you're all going to be stressing with the buys, and we're going to do our best to help you. It's been another good week. Take care. Go Tigers.
Go Pies.